Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
Nancy, Smokehouse. It's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach Live.
Coach LA's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call it. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, loud, always get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call in. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La. Your favorite around the way therapist is in the building. It has been a cold, rainy day, probably about 40 degrees today. Yes, Boston's weather is very bipolar. That's why today I have on a whole sweater because it was cold. It was really cold out here in these streets. So I want to give a big shout out to my Urban Heat sisters because today we did our annual event for International Women's Day, and it was at the Policeman's Post out there in Mattapan. Shout out to Mary, the commander, and I believe her name is Tanisha or Talisha. I'm probably saying the girl's name wrong, but she made my drinks and she made them very good. We had a lot of vendors that came out to support us today. I actually ended up getting this wonderful piece painting of Talise Rivers, who was the first one of our Urban Heat sisters to spark us doing this International Women's Day. And as you guys know, we lost her at the beginning of 2026. So I actually inherited it. Somebody else wanted it and then gave it to me because we did a couple of raffles. But I'm going to put this up in my office to remind me of her beautiful smile and just her presence and her energy and just her professionalism. So Talise Rivers, we love you. We miss you very, very much. Also, our very own Curdy Kurt did some treats baked by Curdy Kurt with love. Have not had an opportunity yet to sample this, but it's a blueberry muffin, and she was sharing on her social media, creating this wonderful treat. So I'm going to have this with some coffee from Dunkin' Donuts tomorrow. So shout out to Curdy Kurt. I've always tried to make sure when I go to events like this that I support one or two vendors. I also supported Ingrid. Shout out to Miss Ingrid. She has It Tie and Design. So I got me a tie, ladies. So you guys go follow her and get a tie if she's out in the community. Make sure you support Miss Ingrid. So just want to give some love to some of the vendors. It was an awesome event. We were talking about giving to gain and the whole idea of service and being of service and how that actually is, one, it's really good for your mental health, but also in general, just giving back to your community and finding ways to do things that you love and that you have an interest in, that you have a purpose. And I thought that was really great. Shout out to Stacy Marlowe, who took the lead this year and making sure that this event was awesome. Shout out to LaDonna with the direct decorations, C Brew. I mean, the whole team came through. Michelle, Mayana. I mean, we were all out there. Shout out to our DJ Nomadic. So it was a beautiful day of sisterhood and celebration. And shout out to all the Urban Heat fellas, because they came out and supported us too. DJ Wade, D-Rock, Walt Weezy was in the building, just to name a few. And of course, my guest that's going to be sitting on a virtual couch with me tonight was also in the building with his beautiful wife. And so it was really, really just a great time of sisterhood. So what is tonight's show all about? Well, it's an up close and personal conversation. Often people of color, we use laughter, right? We can take anything that's painful, tragic, and we can find a way to make it humorous. It's one of our superpowers and one of the ways that I think we cope with trauma and pain. And this gentleman that I'm going to bring up next is one of my favorite uncle and all of our favorite uncle. But season 9 for me has been about giving people that I love and admire and respect their flowers, and also reflecting on being here almost 50 years. My birthday's coming up. So I am bringing on individuals that I feel have healed, evolved, and they elevate all the time. And if you've ever gone to one of his events, he always ends in prayer. And some people have found that controversial. They talk a lot of trash about it. They don't understand it. But I've always understood that in every space we need encouraging words, and we need to have prayer, and we need to know where the source of our strength comes from. And I think he always reminds us of that. So tonight I have Mr. Jonathan Gates, and we're going to be talking about laughter as healing, comedy, culture, and coping through life. And if you know this man, I call him the Bionic Man, because he's been through so much and he's still standing. He has, actually, I'm gonna let him tell me because I always mess up the song, but I Never Would Have Made It is one of the songs he plays. He does Thankful Tuesdays, which is one of my favorite segments that he does here on the Urban Heat. He has Uncle JG's Cookout, but there's different days where he does different things, and there's Thankful Tuesdays, and a lot of us tune in that day because it's ministry through music. And sometimes the joke just isn't funny. It's all about survival, and that's something that I've learned as a sister, a Black woman, a single mom. I often use laughter as a way to help me cope and move forward. So they say laughter is medicine. But tonight we're asking, what are we really healing from? And so my next guest is the creator of the Black comedy explosion. He's known for blending humor and real life experiences, and he has a voice that keeps the culture laughing and thinking. If I had to sum him up, other than being one of my favorite uncles, my good friend, someone I look up to, I would say he makes you laugh. But if you're paying close attention, he's also telling you the truth. So I want to bring on to the virtual couch with me my favorite uncle, your favorite uncle, a living legend. I tell him he's famous. He told me he's not famous, but he is. He's famous to me. One of my first encounters with Uncle JG was him actually calling me. I was the president of the Black Student Center. He called me up and he said, "Can I speak to Lakeisha Austin?" I said, "That's me." He said, "Well, do you know who this is?" I said, "No." He said, "This is Mr. Jonathan Gates." And he got me straight real quick about who he was in his role here in Boston, because I was doing a deaf comedy jam on campus with Drew Frazier, to be exact. And he reminded me real quick. He said, if you don't know who I am, you're about to find out. And he said, "Don't you ever have another comedy show in Boston and you don't come through me first?" I said, the audacity, but I loved him instantly. And he taught me a lot about confidence. And that's only one story, but I got many stories of him mentoring me before he became, he said today I got real comfortable with him. I talked to him about a lot of stuff that I would never talk to y'all about, but I talked to him about it. So let me bring him on the stage. What's up, Unc?
Good evening, good evening.
Welcome to the virtual couch. I can't even believe I actually got your butt on here.
I can't believe it either.
And you agreed to get on this virtual couch because he talks a lot of trash, right? He tells me all the time I overthink, turn that therapy stuff off. Like, we have like these really good conversations where you have to have people like Jonathan Gates in your life because he keeps you grounded. I can never get a big head or get too convoluted in being a therapist around him. He truly is a father figure. It reminds me a lot of my dad. I tell him things that I used to say to my father. He'd be like, "Baby, don't forget I'm your daddy." Right. But I'm glad that you can tell me anything.
Because I love you.
Yes. So welcome.
Thank you for putting me on the couch. I think I need some therapy. Everybody needs something to unwind, because as a Black man, we seem to tend to keep everything inside. We don't talk a lot. I've been married to my wife going on 34 years, and we talk, but we don't talk about everything.
Yeah.
And whenever there's an issue, I try to put everything on my shoulder, even if it's a detrimental what we're doing. I try to handle it before I even let her in, and so that's why as men we don't know how to let you all in, and we'll do anything you want us to do. Just keep that level of respect. If you respect me, and the love is love, but the respect is a whole thing else, because I'm gonna do everything for you. You know what I mean? So when
already dropping gems,
you know, because like when you told me the other day, said, you're famous. I said, I'm really not famous. I'm just someone that God is blessed to put me in places that people can look to and say, look what he did. You can now do it. So I don't consider that being famous. I just look at that being blessed.
Yeah.
You know,
I know you're blessed, but you got a track record that's unbelievable, from stand up all over the world. I mean, you fly out all the time. You've been on cruises. I mean, you're highly sought after. So to say that, you're not famous. I was Googling you today, and you got a lot of stuff out there on YouTube and everywhere else. But sometimes I forget all the things that you've done, because to me, you're just
I'm just
Uncle
Uncle
JJ.
That's all I am.
And then sometimes I'm like, wow, you really are like that dude.
Well,
like you've been doing comedy for how many years?
40 this year.
40 years.
Thanksgiving will be 40 years.
4 decades.
Yes.
4 decades. Do you know in Simcoe's, right? No, Brothers. Brothers has your photo when you was a young man looking like a boxer on the wall, signed.
That is a picture from the Def Comedy Jam tour in 1991.
Yes.
That's where that picture came from.
Yes.
So, because I used to eat breakfast there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I need a picture of you because everybody's talking about you. So that's where that picture came from.
Uh-huh.
And I'm still on the wall.
You still there? I was in there and I said, look at Uncle JG up there looking all young and scrumptious. Yep. You must have been a mess when you was younger.
Nah.
I can only imagine. Yeah. Cheryl calmed you down, but I'm only imagining. I should have got Cheryl on the show with you so she could have told me all your secrets.
Yeah, there's no secret to me. I am what you don't think I am. I'll say this, and I'm gonna say this to you because you're a therapist. And when I say it to people, they call me a liar.
Okay.
I'm an introvert. I'm really an introvert. If you ever see me in public around people, you'll see me in a corner somewhere, and you'll see me away from people. I'm not one of those ha 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 ha. When I'm on stage, that's my life.
Right.
When I'm off stage and we just chilling, just pay attention when we out. Even when me and you go have a conversation, it's just me and you. But everybody's coming up to me, but you don't see me going up to people. I'm not a rah-rah guy. I'm just an introvert.
I can believe that. I think a lot of times people think that people who are able to get on stage are just very outgoing because you have the ability to entertain. Right. But I've noticed that you'll go you usually got a seat in the corner away from the crowd until it's time for you to go up.
Right.
Right.
So if you pay attention, so I'm really introverted. You know what I mean? I'm the type guy that'll sit back, and if you need somebody with us needs somebody, I'm willing on the side to just slide it so nobody see me slide it to you and let you go ahead and enjoy your night.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So I was just raised by a great mother and a great grandfather. I was just raised to be a giver.
Yeah, you were telling me offline, because my question is who is the man behind the mic?
Uh-huh.
Who is Jonathan Gates? And you were saying you grew up down south.
Yeah.
And you were talking about picking cotton and some other things that you did as a kid. And I don't know a lot of people who know people who actually experienced that. So can you tell us, how did you come into comedy? Like, that's just like your whole story is so unique.
But I don't think we have enough time.
Okay, but tell me what you can tell me.
You asked me to say, who am I?
Yes, who is Jonathan Gates?
I am a black man born in Mattapan, had asthma real bad, raised in Ellery, South Carolina, on my family's farm. We grew everything that we needed to survive. And so the way we were set up, my grandfather's house, my aunt's house, my uncle's house, so we was in our own little community. You know how houses is on an alcove? So that was us in the country. So we would butcher our own meat. It would have butcher, and it would take care of all 5 houses in the cover. So that was our meat for the winter. We had butter beans, sweet peas, sugar peas, we had sugar cane, we had collard greens, we had cabbage, we had squash. We grew everything. And for to make money, my grandfather planted peanuts, and we pulled peanuts and we shucked corn, and that's like shuck corn. We picked cotton. I picked cotton.
So you were a true country boy.
I was a true cut. So we had our own, but to make extra money, we would go and pick for other people, and we got paid by the weight. So we would like to go like 7, 8 o'clock. And my grandfather told us, well, y'all are dumb. Y'all should go at 5. And we're like, why? He said, go at 5 because the dew is still on the cotton. The cotton is heavier. That's when you make your most money. So we'd go out early because the dew's on the cotton. So I was raised there. My mother wanted to see, my mother worked up here for Western Union, which is now AT&T. And she wanted to see me graduate here. I got back into Boston. I came here. I played football at West Roxbury High School. I went out to Ohio Tech, a technical school, and I was playing football out there. But I was dumb as hell. All I thought was chasing girls and everything was it. Don't worry about it. I tore my knee up and I came back home to Boston in 1983. Now, at that time, you had 2 options. You could either sell dope, you could gang, or you can do what you do. I knew how to sell dope and I know how to DJ because I DJ'd in college. So I went to the local spot called Lane's Lounge, which was right on the corner of Walk Hill and Blue Hill Ave. And I started DJing at Lane's Lounge. Lane's Lounge was the go place right there. My only issue was when I was DJing, the DJ booth was up in the sky. There'll be a fight on the floor. And the bouncers wouldn't put the people out. And they'll start up again. So I would put a long song on, go out, threw everybody out, go back and DJ. So I did this for like 2 weeks. And the owner finally said, yo, you're good at this. Let me just keep you on the floor. I said, well, you paying me very well. I'm DJing 3 nights a room. You gave me 300. He said, now I'll give you 3,000 to be the head of security. I go, deal. I go, deal. But I said, the first thing I'm going to do is fire everybody you got here because they don't understand how to talk to people and treat them right way and to be stern. Did you remember the movie with Patrick Swayze, Roadhouse?
Yep.
That's exactly what I was teaching. You don't have to be physical. You don't have to be the strongest. You just have to be smart with people. And people will respect you. And I went from Lanes to Conway's. From Conway's, a Greek guy named by the name of George Spiridopoulos, he's seen me. He said, yo, I would like to get you in my club. You're a very good guy. I will take you. So I'll pay you more money than anybody. Come with me. So I left and went to the Rose Club. And I remember it was me. I brought my brother Harry with me, Big Suge, who's you're going to have on next week. You can tell me, Harry, Big Suge, and Mr. Woods, my dad, the deaf guy. We ran the Rose Club.
Wow.
And there was a guy, there was a white comedian, old biker look, and his name was Dick Doherty. And he was bringing comedy to the Rose Club. He was hilarious. Some of the comics he brought with him local, horrible. But he kept the room going. And then he got diagnosed with cancer. And he's like, yo, I see how you talk to these people. You are crazy as hell. Won't you just bring the comedians up and they'll do everything else? He said, I'm going to pay you that on top of what you spend. I said, I can get paid to bring these dudes on? He goes, yeah. So I was bringing them on. I did it for like 3 weeks. And 1 week, the comics was real horrible. And there was a black dude who was in there drunk. And he was like, buh, buh. I said, yo, calm down. He was like, buh. Then I was like, yo, calm down. He's like, boo, you too. I go, yo, calm down, little boy. He's a little boy. You don't know nothing about me. Ask your mother. I said, see, there you go. You want to talk about mothers? I said, I know. And your mother. I said, what's the difference between I-95 and your mama? He goes, I don't know. I said, everybody's been on I-95. Not everybody been on I-95, but they've been on your mama. So that was the first snap. And each week I got better at it because I was from Alma Park. We played the dozens on the wall. And a white comic said to me, you're real quick. You should really study and be. I said, I don't know nothing about comedy. So I sat down and I started watching comics. And I started watching, when you think about the blacks, I started watching Pigmeat Malcolm, Wild Man Steve, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Flip Wilson, Moms Mabley. And you know what kicked it for me? There was a white comic by the name of George Collins. He was doing a special. George Collins ended up doing 60 years of comedy. He passed on. He did this one joke. And I didn't get it when he said it, but it made me go, He said, have you ever noticed most of the women against abortion you wouldn't sleep with them in the first place. So I didn't get it. 2 weeks later, there was an abortion rally in Boston on TV. When I said I looked at TV, it was not one woman in that crowd. Even if I was high, I would sleep with. So that.
No, you're not right.
Listen, but that kicked in.
Right.
And when that kicked in, I said, "Oh, I can do this." And I got to give props to Drew Frazier, who was doing comedy, and he was going. Drew Frazier started molding me to be a comic. There used to be a place, the Howard Johnson, right there on Morton. When you get to Morton Street after the Shattuck Hospital, it was a Howard Johnson right there, and he was doing comedy there, and he brought me in, and he let me get on stage, and ever since then it just blew from there.
Wow. You know, I have this saying that I picked up from somebody, but sometimes your biggest opportunities come disguised as bad news.
Right.
And how we find ourselves living in our purpose, sometimes on accident. Like, it's not like you woke up and said, I'm going to be a comedian.
No,
it wasn't. It sort of just happened, but you were naturally good at it, but you also had to hone the skill.
Right. You had to get better at it. No matter what you do, you have to practice. If you're preaching, you have to know the word. You have to understand where you're going. If you're cooking, you got to keep cooking. You have to be in the kitchen. If you're playing basketball, you got to practice. You got football, you have to go through the struggles. So to do comedy, I went through the struggles. I went through comedy clubs and comedy rooms, so people don't know the difference. A comedy club is, if Lakeisha had $10 million, she said, I'm going to open up a comedy club. I'm going to bring comedians there Monday through Friday. That's all you do. A comedy room is, Lakeisha had a restaurant that's struggling, but she had space. She'll allow me and she'll partner with me to bring a show into her location and that nobody knew about. And I brought other comedians that's because clubs are people that made it and everybody think these are the ones. The comedy rooms are where the people are grinding their teeth and try to learn. Some of the best comics comes out of comedy rooms, because if you do a comedy room, you can do anything. Me and Bill Bellamy was talking about that. He was like, yeah, your room, if you can do your room, you can do any white clubs in America. And so that's what the difference between a comedy club and a comedy room. And I'm blessed to be able to, I've had the comedy clubs, the Comedy Connection in Faneuil Hall, but I love the Rose Club. I love Slades. And right now I'm in love with the patronage of the Carver Den, because people get to see stars of today, stars of tomorrow, and stars that's up and coming. So I'm happy with that.
I love that you give space for folks to come and hone their craft, but then you also bring people who are already there. And I do pole therapy, which Uncle JG, y'all may know, he hosted a pole therapy at Slades. And I've always appreciated your advice, because a lot of people's like, why are you at Slades? You need to leave Slades. And you was like, no, you need to stay at Slades. It's the right size. It's going to help you build your brand. It's going to blow up. It's going to look packed. And you were right.
Right.
You were right. It was awesome. But I took a page from your book of providing a platform, which would be for people to do spoken word and do an open mic, which is similar to what I think you're saying a comedy room is.
Right.
It's like a poetry open mic.
That's what you're doing.
Right.
You giving them a space they normally wouldn't have.
And I've seen both on your platform and my own, people grow, develop, and now they're doing a bunch of stuff that they weren't doing prior to coming to pole therapy or to the Black Comedy Explosion. So when did you look at that, this was going to be your source of income, and it wasn't just going to be entertainment and fun? When did you make that shift that, you know what, I can actually make money at this and do this full time?
Well, people don't know, it's a struggle. It is a struggle. I used to I was working as a full-time professional mover, packing people's houses and stuff like that. I would go get on the bus and go to New York, get off work at 5 moving, get to New York at 9, hit like 2 or 3 clubs, leave New York by 1 or 2, get back to Boston at 6 to make it to work at 7:38. So I was doing that for a long time, and I got to the point was when I got to the point when a white club told me what I couldn't and couldn't do. And I said at that point, that'll never happen again. I will take the Black Comedy Explosion. I'll do what I want to do, how I want to do it. And there's an old adage behind every great man is a great woman. When I was out trying to be Uncle JG, Cheryl Gates was holding my family down. She held us down through some tough times. And that's going to always be my ride or die chick. Even if we break up, that's still mine because she held me down. And I said that to somebody. I said, why, if I get successful, would I give another woman the opportunity to be blessed by something Cheryl seeded and helped me grow? So I couldn't understand that. So she held me down to the point that where I can now be that bad boy of comedy, that Jonathan Gates that people like, you know what I mean? So I'm to that point now that she's blessed because I'm blessed. And so that's how that is, man.
I love that. It's, that's one of the things I love and admire about you is your authenticity and your truth. You're a truth teller, right? Deep down, got a big heart. People don't know that. He be low key keeping it a secret, but he is a giver. When he said that, it's true. I've seen you take charge and do so many things for different people. And one of the things that you always do at your show is you pray. Yeah. And not only do you pray, when people have a situation, you'll take up offerings and help folks out. And that's what makes the Black Comedy Explosion different. It's really a community space.
Yes.
It's more than comedy. It's more than laughs. It's a place for us to go and get, I would say, healing and support and connection too, because you see a lot of people you in the community, from superstars. I call them superstars. They may not think that, but I mean, from the politicians to public figures to pastor. You see everybody at the Black Comedy Explosion. You never know who you might run into. Not to mention, you always bring great comedians.
Yes. I'll say this for those that's listening. If you ever come to one of my show on a Thursday or Wednesday, whatever it is, I end my show in prayer. And I'm going to tell you how that started. That started two things. I was on another station. I was on Touch 106.1 FM.
Shout out to Brother Charles. He was at the event today.
When Trayvon Martin got killed, and everybody was talking about getting on a plane, getting on a bus, going to Florida to rally. And I used to be on the cookout 4 to 6. And people go, yo, we really respect what you're doing. Why are you not talking about Trayvon Martin? Shame on you. And I mean, they were real. For 2 weeks, I wouldn't speak on it. When they were talking about going, I was in Price Right. And this older lady, like, I like everything you do. I like what you stand for, but I can't believe you're not telling us to go through. I said, listen to the radio show today at 4:00. And I put up a post. If you want to know why I'm not talking about going to Florida, listen. So I came on at 4, didn't say nothing. At 4:35, I cracked the mic. I said, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. It's your favorite uncle. It's Uncle JG. So let me get this right and to make sure you all hear me. As a Black man, I'm appalled that this white man killed this child. As a father, I'm totally upset. But let me get this right, Boston. You want me to go 3,000 miles to Florida to rally for a Black youth that died, and right in Mattapan, across the street, we had 3 people and a baby got killed, and I don't hear y'all crying about that. If we can't clean up our own community, I can't go nowhere else. We have to clean us. And I said, I tell you what, if you doubt me, meet me in Franklin Park at the beginning. I get off the show at 6. I'll be there at 6:30. If you serious about it, meet me there. Let's pray. And the place was packed. So, Apostle Sharon Denise Cotton, I met her there. So we kept it going every Tuesdays and Fridays. We would pray in the park, and we had a nice little following. I was at Slay's, the bartender Javier. He was behind the bar making drinks, crying. And before the show started, I said, what is wrong with you? He's like, my little baby who's 6, the doctor said she'll never go home. My baby gonna die. So we go to the show. It was a good show. We go through it. At the end, when I was about to say goodbye, I said, hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Javier, come here for a minute. I go, come here. He came. I said, this man just told me his daughter's in the hospital. The doctor said he'll never go home. I said, I come from a praying family. My mother always said, if you can't handle it, give it to God. I said, do you mind if we pray with you? And he said, yes. And I said, if you're a true believer, if you're a prayer warrior, walk up on the stage and hold your hands out in front and let's pray over Javier. And that was the first time I prayed at a black comedy show. During that time, I'm going to tell you something happened. I got a call 2 days later. A guy hit me up. He said, hey, you don't know me, but I was at your show. My ops was at your show. Me and my friend was about to kill him. You prayed and it weakened my heart. And that anger went away from me.
Wow.
And he said, listen, I come to your show. The show's funny, but I come for the prayer. You calm me. To this day, he still comes to the shows, and now he's at the Carver Inn. And I never told that story to anyone but you. He told me that. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
See how great God is?
God is good all the time.
So when I pray in the club and I say, people always saying, well, how can you do that? And I say to them, you never read your Bible, because Jesus never went into the synagogues. He went into the whorehouses. He went into the clubs. He went into the brothels. He went among the people. Well, people got to understand, you don't pray in a building, because that building you call church isn't the church. If you read your Bible, you are the church. The building is a gathering for church to come to celebrate God. So you can pray any way you want, anytime you want. So I always say, God, for the blessings you're going to give me, there's a non-believer sitting here. Give them that blessing. Let them know how great you are, because you blessed me over and over again. There's a song that says, if I had 1,000 tongues, I couldn't thank you enough. And that is why I pray in the club, whether they like it or not.
Listen here, you guys are tuned into Conversations with Coach La La La. I have my favorite uncle, your favorite uncle. He's famous to me. He's legendary. He's an OG. I have, as I'm approaching my 50th birthday, I'm being very intentional about the people I bring on this show, because often we forget. None of us are going to be here forever.
No.
We all got a time where we're going to go.
Yes.
And I say, you know what? I need to start bringing the people that I love on the show, because this is another way of folks going back and listening to their story.
Mm-hmm.
We can't wait for people to write our story or to have it written in our obituary when we go. So I'm so thankful that you're here, just to get to know you and let the listeners know another side of you and why you do what you do. People can be very judgmental. Human beings can be very judgmental about things they don't understand. So I'm glad that you cleared that up.
Well, I'm cool. And I want people to judge. That's their ability. I don't care. You know what my grandfather taught me when I first started doing comedy? He said, if they stop talking about you, you should be worried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said, if they're talking about you, that means you're doing something right.
Okay.
When they stop talking about you, that means nobody cares what you're doing. And at the point, you have to change what you're doing. So they talked about Jesus, so I'm not even close.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Yes, baby.
What pain have you turned into punchlines?
Diabetes. I remember my blood sugar level got so high, I was in the house hallucinating. I put on like 2 snowsuits and I was sitting on the toilet like I was at the bus stop waiting on the bus. And my son said, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm waiting on the 28 so I can go to the hospital. He's like, man, you in the bathroom. I said, okay. He said, let me call you an ambulance. I said, I ain't got no insurance. There's no insurance in comedy. So I called the Uber. And I remember going to the Uber that my diabetes was so bad. I was in the back of the car. I was a Spanish driver. I was in the back. As we was driving, I go, oh, God. Oh, God. The Spanish guy, yo, Papa, you don't sound so good. You okay? The noise that you makey don't sound good. So I'm making this noise. He gets on the Jamaica way. I was like, oh, you're like, oh my God. Uber hotline. There's a guy in my car, no good. What I do? I put him out. They're like, you can't put him out. So he was scared. He got me to the hospital. I think by the time I don't think he shut the door. He just pulled off. And I got in. And I remember And this is the famous part that you thought about. I was in the lobby going, oh, I was at Beth Israel emergency room, and there was a lot of people, and they were like slow. And this old lady's like, oh my God, that's Uncle JG for the radio. Yo, y'all come take care of Uncle JG. They were like, no, we got to back up. And they called her. She was like, no, you take him. He can have my space because he don't look good. This white dude took my blood sugar level. And when I said, he go, holy crap. I go, yo, what the hell is that? He took it again. He said, whoa, beep, 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 beep. I said, yo, can you stop that? So now I'm coming out of it. This Jamaican lady came and like, yo, what the blood clot you had to call him for? He said, check his blood sugar. She said, Lord have mercy. My blood sugar was up at 1480.
Jesus.
They said I had nothing but syrup. I should have died. So I turned that into it. You know, I turned when my last emergency, when you guys were worried about me, and I remember being a black man, I refused to go to the hospital. Cheryl tried to get me to go for like a week. I couldn't. I would get up to use the bathroom, and I would saw myself in the floor, and I was just, but as a great wife, she cleaned up behind me, and I talked about that, and that's when they rushed me to the hospital. I was in there for 46 days, and they didn't think I was going to make it. So I was doing, when I came back, I did a show. I said, my wife's good, but this one day I did it. She was like, nope, you're going to clean this up your goddamn self.
I was at that show. She was like, this is enough, you puppy.
Yes. She said, you will clean this your goddamn self. Yeah. So I take those situations and people say, why do you put your health scare online? Well, I try to use my pain to help the next man. Because when I had the diabetes scare and I put that up, one lady said, I'm so glad you did it because my husband seen you and he went and got diagnosed and you saved his life. So everything I went through, I try to do it so people don't have to go through it. And they can always call me and say, hey, how did you do this? And I can say, here's what happened for me. Here's what's good for me. And like you all said today at the woman, if I can't give you what I know, I'm useless as an instrument from God. So the things I've been through and I've been blessed with, I want to share with my black brothers and sisters. So when I went through the diabetic scare, my kidney shut down, my lung was infected, and my kidneys and all that. So I went through all those phases. And you guys, and I'll say this to the city of Boston and all over that prayed for me, I thank you. And prayer is so amazing. I told somebody, I said, the city of Boston prayed me back. I said, even some of my haters prayed for me. I seen that. I said, I know you hate me and you prayed for me. And look, I'm always on funny. After I got out the hospital, I go shopping. I go, listen, we go Stop and Shop, but I'm a price right guy. I try to say somebody, so I mean price right. This killer thug dealer I know, like, yo, oh my God, when you was down, man, me and the crew prayed for you. My whole crew, I had all of them praying for you. I go, see, don't pray for me no more. He go, yo, I said, because you prayed, God didn't know if you were serious. He kept me sick for 46 days. It's your goddamn fault. Don't pray for people. You go sell your dope or do something else. You're like, that's why I love you.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
It's your fault.
You prayed for me and God was like, we're going to keep him a little longer.
Yeah, man. So we talk a lot about therapy on this show, Unc, but you know this, I still can't believe that this is what my calling is. But from your perspective, you 40 years in the business, I forget how old you are, but I know you're older than me.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Because you're about to turn 50, right?
You're OG. You're
about to turn 50.
Yes.
I'm 13 years older than you.
Yeah, so I said you're a little older than me. But we know as people of color, going to therapy is not something that I grew up doing. So the idea that I do this as a profession is really interesting to me. From your perspective, what does therapy mean to you? Have you used it? What's your thoughts on it? Being that you're from a different generation and a different time.
My therapy was growing up, sitting on the porch in Ellery, South Carolina, having a cold beverage with my grandfather, having a conversation, what I was going through in life. And for him to go, well, that's not real pressure. He said, you see, we down here on the farm. You're making money and you're still moving. We're still here trying to survive. He said, we don't have the pressure we used to have. He said, if we didn't butcher those hogs, we couldn't feed everybody in this community. If we didn't grow this corn, we couldn't do that. That's pressure. He said, all you doing on stage is making people laugh. You get a check for that. Try to survive doing something you had to do, not because you wanted to do it. So me doing comedy is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So therapy to me in my era was having that uncle, that grandfather, that aunt, that wife, that sister, that when something got to the top is boiling, you can have a conversation with them, not to the level of where you as a therapist can sit there and analyze. I think therapy is just releasing what's on your spirit and just talking. And I think therapy is like prayer. When you pray, you feel it. You're praying what's on your heart. When I'm having therapy, I'm telling you what's on my heart that I need to get off. So I think the two equates each other. So I think what you're doing now is what's been needed in a long time, because we didn't have the means or the knowing how to, because it was taboo. Because growing up in a black household, you don't tell people next door what's going on. You keep everything inner. And that's how people started being messed up and being violent with each other. And that's why that's why our kids don't have no emotional contact. When you see these kids violent in the street, that means that they've never learned how to be a child. They don't know how to play. They never grew up to love. You know, they love their circle, but they don't know how to love the next person. So I think that's something we need to really get away from. And we need to share. I think they should have people like you inside schools. You know what I mean? When everybody said, oh my God, this child, I'm being bullied. That's why I shot 7 people, because nobody never said anything to you.
Yeah, and that's the first thing they'll cut.
Right.
They cut the arts and support services is usually the first things that they cut. And I think those are the things that help people stay grounded to be able to learn. You need that.
I do this one thing. I say meet one, greet one. What that means, I say, you don't know what people are going through. People could be having the worst day of their life, and you walk by and go, hey, ma'am, how you doing? I hope you have a great day. You know that one simple gesture might save somebody's life. That one simple, they might be ready to commit suicide or go shoot up an office or a school because everybody just overlooked them. They go, hey, sister, how you doing? I love your smile. I hope you have a beautiful day. That one little selfless things you just did might have saved somebody's life. So we have to, one thing growing up in the South, one thing I did know, even the racist people, we all spoke. Even the white people that hated you, they always go, they say, hey, how you doing? Everybody spoke. And growing up as a black person, we spoke to every black person we seen. If you look like me and I look like you, say hello. Mm-hmm. You know, if I look like you and you look like me, say hello. Mm-hmm. Don't stare at me like, oh, why you staring at me like that, son? You want a problem? I'm just saying hello. So if we get back to the point, greeting each other and loving each other, I think society would be a little bit better in the city if we get back to loving each other.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of fear.
Yes.
A lot of fear. Like if I say hello, I'm opening you up to do something to me, ask me for something, manipulate me in some kind of way. So I'm gonna keep this hard exterior, keep my head on the swivel, because I'm afraid.
What you saying hi to me for? I don't know you, son. You my ops.
Right. Which brings me to my question about men. How do you think men use humor to avoid expressing their emotions?
Men, women, children, uncle, aunt. People use humor to get a message out when they really don't want to hurt someone's feelings, but they want to get the message out. Girl, you remember we had collard greens the other day, boy? Everybody's breath was stinking. Was talking to you. You know what I mean? So we can use humor in so many ways to either heal, and a lot of people use it to not aim to or deflect. I just think depends on, I think a lot of men go to comedy shows because they got so much pent up in them and for me to be on stage talking about the turmoil that I went through, and they can laugh about it, they're laughing at themselves, and they can really release. I think comedy is the greatest medicine. And I said that to somebody. I said, how many fights you ever seen at a comedy show? I said, think about that. People sit back, enjoy themselves. They're either out with their special ones or somebody, and everybody's just having a good time. And they're just looking for something to release. You know, if you said, if I'm ever in a crowd and I hear somebody go, "Whoa!" that person had a lot of trauma. They just needed to release.
That is the way to think about it. Because when I'm having a bad day, I have to say, you have to go to a comedy show with the intent, though, that you want to laugh and be in that space. Because I've also seen people sit there and it's funny. They just, you try and, but then there's times even if you try to do that, some people are just so funny you can't hold that position.
Right.
So I do think it is a release. Laughter is a form of self-care. I often encourage my clients to watch something funny, something lighthearted, to get their mind off of the stress, even just for a little bit. I use your comedy show often.
Okay.
For that.
Have you ever told someone that's going through something, did you ever just say, just scream, just get it out?
Yes. I like rage rooms.
Right.
Go break some stuff.
Right.
Go up to Franklin Park and scream as loud as you can. I told somebody this the other day. I said, when we're babies and we're born, crying is acceptable, right? It's acceptable. It's a sign of life. But as we get older, we repress that. So do you think your body no longer needs to cry because you're an adult? You think because we get older, we don't still want to have temper tantrums and roll around on the floor and kick and scream? We just don't. We hold it all in. So I do agree. I do. And I have told people to do. I've even done it in session with people.
Okay.
Breathing and actually making the ah sound at the end of the breath. Like, you need those releases.
So that's when I hear an ah at a comedy club. They're releasing something. Mm-hmm. The joke could have been funny, but it wasn't that funny. There was something in them they needed to release. Mm-hmm. Whatever anger was there, or whether it was a death in the family, whether there was a graduation, something, they needed a release valve. Mm-hmm. And that joke just happened to be that release valve. Mm-hmm. So when they scream like that, you were like, yeah, you did well.
You did.
Yeah, I like that. I love, like, the ones you say that don't want to laugh. Mm-hmm. And I'll go, hey, you're missing a really good show. They go, no, I'm laughing. I said, yeah, but you're laughing like this with your shoulders.
Yeah, let it out.
Let it out. You about to bust your kidneys. Yeah,
let it out. Be free.
Be free.
Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Again, you guys are listening to Conversations with Coach La La La, your favorite around the way therapist. This is Boston Radio. Boston has Black radio. Let me be specific. We have Black radio. We're the only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio platform. I got my favorite uncle, Uncle JG, on the virtual couch with me, talking about comedy and healing and why we use humor, especially as Black folks, to push forward, and why it's so significant. I have a statement up on the screen. The American Psychological Association highlights laughter as a protective factor in coping with stress and adversity. So there's research behind why this is so important and why it works. And as I'm a therapist, and you thank me often for what I do, I thank you as a comedian for what you do, because every week, and it's not easy putting on a show every week.
No.
And making sure that people come out and promoting it and getting the comedians. And you've been doing this for 40 some odd years. So I'm giving you your flowers. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Shout out to Instagram. We got a lot of people over here. Shout out to LaDonna checking in, Linda, Christopher, my sister. Thank you guys for all tuning in on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, iHeartRadio. What I missed? Twitch, LinkedIn. Yeah. Shout out to everybody.
Nice.
We appreciate you tuning in. So talk to me about what success looks like for you now as you're going into this next phase of your life. What are some things that you would call your bet on self moments, which is what our next topic is about? I often talk about betting on yourself and what that means. And that was inspired by my dad. But those moments in your life where you decide, if not now, then when, if not me, then who, as you're approaching this next leg of your life, talk about a bet on self moment, either past, present, or future.
To me, at this point in my life, I figured out I'm not going to be in the movies. I don't know. But I can say, if I've touched anybody's life to make it easier and they enjoyed my humor, that's a successful moment for me. But I'll tell you what's better for me. There's about 12 to 14 comics that I circulate that I'm watching grow. I'm watching them grow, and I want them to be so successful. I'll tell you what I want to do. I want you to come down and sit with me, and you sit at a table and watch the show run without me even have to touch the stage. And just sit back, Jonathan Gates Presents, and let the Black Comedy Explosion be the Black Comedy Explosion with me not have to do anything, because that means the ones that I'm bringing along are doing a great enough job that I could sit back. So at the end of the night, I could be like the Russell Simmons. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless. So that would be my go-to ha-ha moment right now. If I can get Big D, I can get Marlon Baker, I can get Anthony Smith, or I can get Black Sab, if I can get Richie Hector, if I can get Philip Anthony, if I can get Rito Brown, if I can get Maury Smith, if I can get Christina Thomas, if I can get Janaea Gonzalez, you know, I can name a bunch of these that I'm honored that they do listen to me. You know what I mean? So that'll be my next ha-ha moment, that I can sit there and say, hey, I'm not going down Thursday, but the room is still going and the Black Comedy Explosion is working. That's like me tonight doing Soul's Place in honor of the legendary Mark Harris. It's still going on for what he made it stand for. So I want the Black Comedy Explosion to go on for what it stands for, whether I'm here, whether I'm not. So that would be my next platform. Because you know, I'm just happy that, you know, I'm a father of 5 and a grandfather of 1. And those are my joys. So I'm good.
That's dope. And I can see that it's like having your platforms live on beyond you.
Right.
You know, and we're seeing that real time, you know, today having Talise's name still be there, and they had her actual purses. You know, people realize that those was Talise's purses with tags on it that came out of her closet that was part of the fundraiser today for the radio station.
Nice.
And her name to still be associated with it, and as the person who kicked it off, and Stacy to say, you know what, I'm gonna keep it going, and Soul's Place is still here even beyond that. I think that's what I've always wanted to, is to leave an impact and make an impact on the world beyond my existence, you know, like my living legacy.
Somebody made a song, a hip hop artist, you're not famous until you die.
Yeah.
So when I die, I want people to go, you know what?
Then you can be famous.
Then I can be famous.
But you famous now, like I damn said. I said what I said.
I got it. But to me, if people go up to my kids at my funeral and say, your father did this for me, and you guys never knew. Your father did this that nobody will ever know. Because when my grandfather died, who raised me, when I went to South Carolina and I'm at his funeral, you know, they give people 3 minutes to speak. There were so many people coming up that I remember seeing but didn't know. He said, yeah, Mr. Adam used to drop food off to us at our house when we didn't have anything. I was in my head. I said, hell, we didn't have anything. But it was so many stories of him giving and giving and giving. And this is in May. In June, my mother died at New Hope Baptist Church. The same messages. Some lady go, you don't know, when you was in school, I lived in your apartment with my 3 children. Your mother just let us stay there for free because we didn't have nowhere to go. And your mother gave us this. So I said, oh, this is a legacy. My grandfather was doing it. Now my mother's doing it. So I guess that's how it rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we was born into it.
Yeah. My father passed away. That's exactly people from his job, his community, you know, loaning money, giving people rides, and taking phone calls. Just a lot of things he had done that I didn't know, but I also realized how many people was pulling on him and how many people he encouraged beyond his kids.
Right.
And that was like, wow, you know, I get it honest. So final segment of the show, right, is Coach's Corner.
Okay.
Right. And you being a sports guy, football guy, you know,
Yep.
this is like the playbook, right? This is like the moment we reflect, we gather those takeaways and send people off with a playbook for the week.
Okay.
What do we want them to take away from this conversation? Things that could actually make people feel a lot better. Similar to what you said with the praying. You never know who you're helping. Shout out to Marv Neal, gave me a lot of perspective, and also Mark Harris, that people are listening to this show, even if you can't physically see everybody on the live. They're listening through iHeart. They listen later. So I started to take a different perspective, that people are listening, be it one person, two people, 20, 1,000, right? Mm-hmm. What do we want? How do we want to heal the world through jokes, laughter? What are some takeaways from this show that we want people to bring into their week?
If I could say anything about me being on your show today, what people can take away: judge not what you don't know. Don't assume you know what shoes someone walked in unless you had a conversation with them. Don't assume that everything is peachy when they're struggling. Don't be afraid to say, hey, can I tell you something? Don't be afraid to say, I'm watching how you move and you're not moving the way you should be moving. Now, if they respect you and they love you, they'll take it for what it is. You know, so that was the problem with P. Diddy and R. Kelly. They had a bunch of yes people for money. They didn't have nobody go, hey, stupid. You're doing some real stupid things right now, because they would fire and get rid of them. So what I want...
Your slip showing.
Listen,
that's what they would say back in the day. Your slip showing.
Or zip up your pants.
You know?
Listen. So what I would say, what I would take away, do not be afraid to speak to someone you love in a manner that can help them or help yourself. Do not be afraid to let your problem on your sleeve be revealed. Do not be afraid to offer help, although they're going to tell you they don't want help. A real friend will keep offering help. When you see them in the corner, see, when they're getting the checks and everything is right, I don't need you around me then. I need you around me when they're about to turn off my gas, my electric, my phone, and my back against the wall. Whether you can give me $1 or you can say, hey, use my phone because yours is off. Just be there for me. My comedy is medicine for the Black community. And the beauty of it is you got Spanish people, Black people, white people, you got Jamaicans, you got so many different ethnicities coming out to comedy because people love to laugh. And here's how I know it's working. So we have DJ Wade for the after party. When the show's over and the prayer's over, they might have one drink and they clear the place out. So that's telling me they didn't come for nothing else but the comedy. So that means it's working. So I'm happy about that.
That's a good marker or metrics, because I think when we do events, I always encourage all of us to have more than one metrics
right
on your success. I think that's my takeaway, right? Is success is going to have its ups and downs. Don't hide behind the joke or the humor, because that can be like a shield, but utilize it as a bridge of avoiding stress.
Yes.
And managing stress. Your emotions are going to always show up. They're not going to go anywhere.
No, it'll be right there waiting.
They're going to show up. But learning ways to, like he said, come to the comedy show and bellow out, laugh, and be like, yo, this is a stressful day, and I'm just going to give myself the opportunity to just put it down for a second. You know, we sometimes will stress and worry and be anxious about stuff that is not going to change the situation because you panic and jump out the window. Emotions are meant to be expressed, but they don't tell you everything. can't utilize that to make decisions. All it does is just let you know that there's something going on. You're feeling something. You cannot use that as your only marker. Hold on.
The Urban Heat. Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeart Station.
Shout out to Mr. Mark Harris. I'm so glad we got that drop in there forever.
Yes.
But you want to make sure you're not avoiding your emotions by keeping them inside. That keeps you stuck. You need to express it. You can use a therapist, like coming to sit down with me, but having some space to release. Be that you go to the comedy show and you listen to the prayer at the end and you get a hug from a stranger. Find ways to release that stress and to find positive outlets for it. So that's my takeaway for y'all. Well, anything else we want these beautiful listeners to know before we get up out of here, Uncle JG?
Yeah, bet on yourself.
As I always say.
Bet on yourself. If you're trying to do something that somebody else is doing and they're successful at it, ask them what did they do. Don't try to verbally break them down. Be inquisitive. Say, hey, Coach Law, how did you get the Ustream? How did you do this? Teach me how to do this. Teach me that. And you'll be surprised because people want you normally to succeed. Don't be afraid to ask black ladies, don't be afraid to ask another black woman, how did she do something? Black men, don't be afraid to ask another black man, how can he help you stand up? Stop thinking that everybody's trying to take advantage of you and they're telling you and they're capping you in this. I don't know, when we stop using regular grown people words, that's cap. Just say it's a lie. You know what I mean? That kills me when they go, it's a cap. I go, what cap? Like a baseball cap? I don't know. So we just have to stand 10 toes down on loving yourself.
Yeah.
10 toes down and loving the next person next to you. I know some black people, we're so separated now. We don't know the person that lives next door to us. When I grew up, my mother knew everybody on Mattapan Street, every one of their child, where they should be at and where they're now. I know people that live next door to each other that don't know each other and don't talk. I know people lives in a 3-family house and don't know the person that lives on the 3rd floor. Because we so separated and we think everything is taboo and everybody's trying to get you instead of we trying to get together. We're a hood now and we forgot to be a neighborhood. So I want us to get together and love upon one each other, man. Like the good old days. I miss sitting on the steps and drinking Kool-Aids and those icy cups when my mother made in the Dixie and sharing it with the neighbors and having a good time. I miss those days, man.
Yeah, we can bring that back. I think that it starts with us. I shout out again to the ladies of the Urban Heat because I feel like today's event embodied all of that, from bringing the different vendors and the young lady who asked the question about what spaces and rooms she should be in and how we all poured into her and hugged up on her. Remember that there are people out there that are doing these things, that are trying to make the world a kinder place. Don't forget about us, because we sometimes can focus too much on the negative people that are not doing the right things. Give those that are doing the right things flowers, accolades, and let's just be a little kinder to each other this week. And as Uncle JG said, make sure you're betting on yourself. Tap in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to the Morning Cafe. They will always be shenanigans. And of course, like Uncle said, he will be here as well for the cookout. We got Tap Time. We got Goolsby with R&B vibes. So keep it locked on the Urban Heat. Make sure y'all download that app. Share it. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Boston has Black Radio, baby. And I'll see you next week for another virtual couch. Thank you, Uncle JG.
Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. Now I feel like a star.
See y'all next week.
God bless y'all.
Good night.